The Bears defense still does not have a real edge rusher. The safety room is empty. And this morning, a trade in the AFC cracked the door wide open for Chicago to go after the most explosive running back on the market. 3 stories, 1 message. Either Poles makes a move right now or this window slams shut. If you are really bear down, hit that subscribe button and stay locked in until the end. Chicago does not play around. News 1, Zion Young. Let us talk about something Chicago fans need to wrap their heads around once and for all. The root of the Bears' defensive problem is not linebacker, it is not safety, it is not cornerback. It is edge rusher. It is the one up front who gets to the quarterback before the play even has time to develop. And while Detroit built its defensive line by investing real draft capital, while Green Bay and those damn Packers keep a steady rotation on that side of the ball, the Bears rolled into the year 2026 with the same open wound they have been carrying ever since Leonard Floyd was taken 9th overall in the 2016 draft. Think about that for a second. The last time Chicago used a top 50 pick on an edge rusher was almost a full decade ago, an entire decade of patch jobs, busted free agency swings, and wishful thinking that internal development would magically fix something that never got fixed. The end result last season, the Bears finished with only 35 sacks, tied for 22nd in the league, and what is even more embarrassing, their pressure rate on opposing quarterbacks was 28%, which ranked 29th in the NFL. 29th, damn near bottom of the barrel. When you look at those numbers, the question is not whether the Bears need an edge rusher. The question is why it took them this long to take it seriously. Now, Mel Kiper Jr., one of ESPN's most respected and influential draft analysts, just dropped the latest version of a 2026 mock draft, and at pick number 25, where the Bears hold their first rounder, Kiper has them taking defensive end Zion Young out of the University of Missouri. Let me ask this. Are you familiar with Zion Young? Because if you are not, you need to get up to speed fast. This kid has the kind of profile that keeps opposing offensive coordinators up at night. Serious juice in the first step, a motor that does not shut off all game, the kind of physical presence that owns the line of scrimmage with an energy that literally jumps off the screen when you throw on the tape. And that is exactly what this Chicago defense needs opposite Montez Sweat, because Sweat did solid work last season. Do not get it twisted. 10 sacks and steady production matter, but if the only player opposing quarterbacks have to identify and neutralize off the edge is Sweat, the job for the other offensive coordinator gets way too simple. You need a second legit threat, someone who forces offensive lines to make choices, to slide protection, to live in fear from both sides of the line. Here's how I see it. If Ryan Poles takes Zion Young at 25 and that kid hits even close to the ceiling playing across from Montez Sweat, we might be talking about the smartest draft decision Poles has made since walking into this building. And the beauty of it for Chicago is that, unlike a pricey trade for an established star, Poles would be locking in 4 years of a hungry, high-upside edge rusher at a totally manageable cap number. That is how teams operate when they are actually building something real. Kiper spelled it out clearly in the write-up. Chicago has not created anywhere near enough chaos at the line of scrimmage in recent seasons. Those are not my words. That is the most well-known draft voice on ESPN telling the entire league the Bears have a problem at that spot. And the solution, according to that breakdown, is sitting there in the 2026 draft with the pick Chicago already owns. But here's the question everyone is wrestling with. Will Ryan Poles have the guts to use that pick on an edge rusher when there are other needs sitting on the table? Because remember, the Packers already locked in their guy. The Lions bring heat from both edges, and the Vikings are not going to sit on their hands either. The NFC North is gearing up, and Chicago cannot keep showing up late to this party. I want to hear your take in the comments right now. Should Poles use pick 25 on Zion Young, or do you want that pick spent somewhere else? Drop it below, and if that caught you off guard, wait until you hear what is next. News 2, Ugo Amadi. While everybody is locked in on the splashy moves, the big-name signings, the headline-grabbing trades, there is a quiet move cooking in Ryan Poles' office that hardly anybody is talking about, and these are exactly the kind of moves that sometimes swing a roster once the season hits. Let us talk about the Chicago Bears safety room, because that room got gutted after free agency. Kevin Byard is gone, Jaquan Brisker is gone, and even though the Bears managed to bring in safety Kobe Bryant from the Seattle Seahawks, The reality is this team needs another player at that level who can step in as a starter, speak the language of the system on day one, and contribute without a long adjustment period. That is where a name almost nobody on the national shows is bringing up walks into the conversation. Ugo Amadi. Now, I know what you are thinking. Ugo Amadi is not exactly a name that sets social media on fire. It is not the kind of signing that gets a fan base standing on chairs. But hear this out, because there is a detail that makes this whole thing make sense on a level that goes way deeper than the headline. Dennis Allen, the Bears' defensive coordinator, worked with Ugo Amadi on the New Orleans Saints for the last 3 seasons. 3 straight years together, Allen knows exactly what Amadi can and cannot do, knows the limitations, knows the strengths, and most importantly, knows how to deploy that skill set inside this specific defensive scheme. Here's the question: how much is that worth in the NFL? How valuable is it to bring in someone who already speaks the defensive coordinator's language, already understands the concepts, and can walk into the first training camp practice knowing where to line up in every situation? On a team trying to speed up the defensive learning curve, that kind of familiarity has a value a contract line item cannot fully capture. Let us hit the Amadi numbers because they matter. In the 2024 season with the Saints, the 28-year-old safety started 5 games out of 11, played 69% of the defensive snaps, logged 2 career sacks, which is not exactly typical for a safety, and racked up 7 passes defended with 65 total tackles. What really jumps off the page in the profile is the versatility around the line of scrimmage. Much better against the run than in deep coverage, which makes that player a perfect complement to Kobe Bryant, who brings more juice on the back end in coverage. This is not some high-flying billboard-type addition. This is a smart, low-risk move built on system familiarity that very few options on the market can match. And with the Bears' cap space already tight, bringing Amadi in at a reasonable number while a drafted safety develops into a starter might be exactly the kind of decision that separates well-run teams from franchises that are just winging it. And here is the wild part. While Chicago is scrambling to shore up the back end, the Lions in Detroit are already set at that spot. The Packers in Green Bay have depth, and if the Bears do not plug the holes in the secondary fast, they are going to roll into the season with a serious problem on the last line of defense. So let me throw it straight to you. Should Ryan Poles pick up the phone and call Ugo Amadi's camp? Is this the quiet, under-the-radar move this roster needs? Or do the Bears have to chase a bigger name, even if it eats more cap space? Drop your thoughts below, and if you think that one is interesting, wait until you hear what is happening on the market right now. Because what is coming next is on a totally different level. News 3, Devon Achane, trade from Miami Dolphins. You are not going to believe what went down in the league this morning. When the alert popped up, I literally had to read it twice to make sure I was seeing it right. The Miami Dolphins just traded Jalen Waddle, one of the most explosive wide receivers in the entire AFC, shipped out to the Denver Broncos in exchange for a first round, a third round, and a fourth round pick in 2026. And with that move, Miami just sent a message to the entire league that the Bears need to process right now. The Dolphins are willing to move star players if the price hits the mark. And that Chicago cracks open a door that was shut tight barely 3 weeks ago. Let me put it this way. If Ryan Poles does not pick up the phone and call the Miami Dolphins front office in the next few hours, we're going to look back on this moment in 5 years as the missed shot that defined this tenure as Bears general manager, because the player on the table here is Devon Achane, the most explosive, complete running back in the NFL right now. 3 short weeks ago, NFL Network insider Cameron Wolfe reported that the Dolphins plan to hold on to both Waddle and Achane as core pieces of the build. The exact phrasing was that Miami wanted them as core players, but now Waddle is gone, and that trade is telling Ryan Poles and the rest of the league that the right offer can move any piece in Miami. Let us talk about what Devon Achane would bring to Ben Johnson's offense, because this is the part that had me fired up from the first time I pulled the numbers. Devon Achane is 24 years old. In 3 seasons with the Dolphins, there are 544 carries for 3,057 rushing yards, an average of 5.6 yards per carry, 22 rushing touchdowns, and 13 receiving touchdowns. Over the last 2 seasons back-to-back, there were 67 or more catches and 480 or more receiving yards each year. And just so we are clear on the level we are talking about here, in 2024, Achane graded out as the #1 running back in the entire league according to Pro Football Focus with an overall grade of 89.2. #1 in run grade at 90.7. #1 in yards after contact per attempt at 4.10. #1 in runs of 10-plus yards with 35 in a single season. #1 in runs of 15-plus yards with 20. So here is the question. When was the last time the Bears had a running back with that kind of production and juice in the backfield? If we are being honest, the answer is simple. They have never had someone like that at that spot. Ever. Now picture that player in Ben Johnson's offense. This is what has me the most hyped. Ben Johnson is not some average play caller who just landed in Chicago. This is a straight-up offensive architect, the mind behind one of the league's best attacks over the last 3 seasons. Now there is Caleb Williams at quarterback with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze outside, and Luther Burden III just added to the mix. The one piece missing to build something truly terrifying for the NFC North is an elite running back who can work the short passing game, eat in the screen game, bang between the tackles, and still has the kind of speed that can house any play at any moment. That player exists. The name is De'Von Achane, and that talent might be available right now. There is another detail here you need to sit with because there is no way this is random. The Bears just hired Eric Stoodsville as the new running backs coach. And Stoodsville is no stranger to Achane. Stoodsville was the Dolphins' running backs coach, the one who worked with Achane every single day, the one who helped develop that skill set, who knows the strengths and the rough edges, who knows exactly how to get the most out of that player in any offensive system. Here's my take. Poles did not bring in Stoodsville by accident. In the same offseason, Achane might hit the trade block. That is not coincidence. That is strategy. And if that is the plan, I will tip my cap because it would be one of the smartest long game moves we have seen from this general manager since walking into Halas Hall. Now let us talk trade price because this is where it gets spicy. The package floating around in the insider circles looks like this. The Bears receive De'Von Achane. The Dolphins receive DeAndre Swift, the number 25 pick in the 2026 first round, and a third-round pick in 2026. I think that price is fair, and here is exactly why. DeAndre Swift is a good player. No one is denying that. Last season, the Bears finished 3rd in the NFL in rushing offense at 144.5 yards per game on average, and Swift was a real part of that success. But Swift is heading into the final year of the deal with a cap hit at $8.8 million. At the end of this season, the Bears will have to decide, extend or let that contract walk. And if Achane is already in the building, why would you extend Swift? It would not make sense. Putting Swift into the trade package frees up future cap, cleans up the backfield, and lands the best running back on the market in one move. That is big picture, long-term thinking. Now that number, 25 pick, some fans are going to say that is too rich. I hear that angle, but let me bring up Ryan Poles' history in the 3rd round. Velus Jones Jr., Zach Pickens, Kieran Amagaji. That is the resume in the 3rd. And if history tells you Poles has not exactly crushed that round, then shipping out a 3rd is not some devastating loss. And the number 25 first rounder, while valuable, is closer to the back of the round. It is not a top 10. If that pick lands you the number 1 running back in the world by PFF's grading, a 24-year-old with multiple peak years left and a direct connection to your new running backs coach, that is a price Ryan Poles should be willing to pay without overthinking it. Now zoom out and look at what Achane means for the entire franchise vision. Caleb Williams is in year 3 of development. Ben Johnson is installing the system. The offense has high-end receivers. The offensive line keeps trending up. Drop the most dynamic running back in the league into that mix. And the Bears are not just one of the best offenses in the NFC North. They are one of the best in the entire NFL. The Packers can hype Jordan Love all day. The Lions can puff out their chest about their offense. But if the Bears have Caleb Williams slinging it to Moore, Odunze, and Burden with Achane as the weapon underneath and the home run hitter in the run game, there is a new team to fear in the NFC North. From where I am sitting, this is the biggest opportunity Ryan Poles has had since taking the job. The market opened up in a way nobody could have predicted a month ago. Miami just showed the whole league it will move stars for the right price. And even though the cost for a chain is steep, it is absolutely justifiable when you line it up against the impact on this franchise. Poles, if you are scrolling through this from Halas Hall, throw down, bear down on in the background. Grab that phone and call Miami right now. Chicago will thank you for the next 5 years. This city has waited long enough for an offense that scares people. Da Bears have the quarterback, the receivers, the coach. The only thing missing is the final piece in the backfield, and that piece has a name, Devon Achane. Bear down, Chicago. Bears fans, we're at the end, and there is no way I am signing off without hearing what you think about everything we just broke down in this video. Let us start with the draft. Mel Kiper Jr. says the Bears should take edge rusher Zion Young with the number 25 pick in 2026. I want your take straight up. Is that the right move for Chicago? Or should Poles use that pick to plug a different hole on this roster? Think about the numbers we laid out today. 29th in quarterback pressure rate, 35 sacks all season, almost a decade without spending premium draft capital on an edge rusher. With all that in mind, drop your answer in the comments right now. Second, the safety room with Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker gone from Chicago, and Kobe Bryant is the only locked-in piece in that room. Here's the question. Should Ryan Poles roll the dice on Ugo Amadi as a bridge starter at that spot? Someone who knows Dennis Allen's system inside and out, comes in cheap, and fits perfectly next to Bryant's coverage profile? Or do the Bears have to chase a higher caliber name, even if it eats into the cap space? Drop that take down below. And finally, the one I know is going to blow up this comment section. Is it worth sending the number 25 pick in the 2026 first round, a third rounder, and DeAndre Swift to Miami to bring Devon Achane to Chicago? You already know where I stand. I have said I think that price is fair when you consider what Achane would unlock in Ben Johnson's offense with Caleb Williams. Now I want your side. Type yes or no in the comments and tell me why. Look, this community is not just a YouTube channel. This is a Bears family that lives every move this franchise makes with the same intensity the city of Chicago brings to everything. From the south side to the north side, from Soldier Field to every corner of Chi-Town, we are one under the navy and orange. If you are not officially part of this family yet, this is your moment. Subscribe right now, hit that bell so you do not miss a single Bears update, and we are going to keep breaking down every move from this organization that is building something special. I am telling you right now. Tomorrow there is more news coming, and you do not want to miss what is next. If this video gave you something, made you think, made you argue with somebody about the Bears, hit that like button. That simple click helps us keep growing and keep being the voice of the Spanish-speaking Bears community. Thanks for writing it out until the end. That is what makes this community different, the passion, the knowledge, and the real love for this team that has needed it for so long. Chicago deserves a championship, and I am going to be right here every time there is news to break down. Bear down, Chicago. Die Bears. See you in the next video.